friends? How are you guys doing today? Welcome back. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with me for a little while and talking about some movies. I hope wherever you're at and whatever you're doing, my friends, you are loving yourself and loving the ones you're with, because that is what Jesus tells us to do, guys. Today, we're talking about a movie from 1940 directed by, I'm not sure if this is a man or a woman, Mr. or Mrs. Christy Cabanne. Cabanne, yeah. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Christy Cabanne, if you're still alive, I hope I said your name right. This is from 1940, the 1940s. This is The Mummy's Hand, guys. Now, this was shown this week on Svengoolie. Got to represent the spinster. This was this week's movie on Svengoolie, and as always, I enjoy listening to, or first off, watching the movie, but secondly, I enjoy hearing the trivia and things like that. This is no different. This was this was actually the second Mummy film that I think Universal did. This is about a couple of, I guess, kind of second-rate hack archaeologists, young broke archaeologists. They're trying to figure out, discover some things in Egypt, and this magician and his daughter wind up basically like giving them a grant to go and discover some things. They discover the princess or priestess, Ananaka, or whatever her name is, and then the mummy comes to life because they disturbed the tomb, right? And what I liked about this mummy film per se, and actually I like this a lot more than I guess some, was the special effects in this were really good. For 1940, I thought that they were impeccable. Now, I'm not watching these films to, I'm not watching them to be entertained. I guess I am, but I'm more watching them to learn the history of certain things, and especially when I'm watching Svengoolie, I'm watching Svengoolie to become edified about classic horror cinema, because that's my bread and butter. I love horror movies, grew up on horror movies. If any of y'all been watching my channel for any length of time, horror movies are like my kind of go-to. I love horror movies. And seeing this and how they made up oh my goodness, how they made up the mummy, how they made him, they wrapped him, they made his wraps look good. They even did a thing with the face makeup where, to give him a more unsettling and eerie appearance, they blacked out his eyes, meticulously went through his scenes and blacked out his eyes in post-production so that he would have that hollow skull look to him, And I thought, that is a labor of love. That's a labor of passion, because to go through hours and hours of footage after you're editing, or while you're editing even, and blacking out tiny little eyes for the film just so that your character, your monster, will look more believable. That's dedication, guys. That is something that directors nowadays don't do or don't care to do. But the mummy itself looked amazing, not to mention the blacked eyes. It was the second mummy movie they did, at least I think that's what I heard Svengoolie say. Also, the story itself, it lends itself kind of more to the, I would say, pulp side of horror. And not pulp as in Planet Terror kind of goriness, but pulp as in the setting, the aesthetic, everything felt kind of I don't want to say cheesy, but it felt, pulp is the only way that's the way it felt to me. It just felt very pulpy, the characters were not very serious. They didn't feel as serious as, say, the ones in the original Mummy film. The premise itself, the young archaeologist can't get no money, then the magician and his daughter, assistant basically, fund their trip, and then, it felt more like the Brendan Fraser movies, Mummies, than it did the original, I don't remember if it was Karloff or Lugosi, but that original film. This one felt more like a Brendan Fraser type of mummy film, and I liked it. That's why I enjoyed it so much, is because it had more of an adventure feel to it, and it had more of the, it just felt like they loved making it. And I always love watching a movie where it feels like the people who made it had fun. And so this is one of those films where I feel like everybody involved in it had fun. The special effects themselves were meticulously done. They looked excellent. The acting was good. The sound stage, production design, everything looked like ancient Egypt. Even I know they weren't on location. You know, everything looked the part. The aesthetics, everything fit, and it was a fun movie. And if you could find, I wish Svengoolie had his own like channel on a streaming service or something. That way, I mean, he's been doing it for 40 years, for goodness sake. Let the man have his streaming service where we can go back and we can watch the films that he has showed in the past, and we can learn from them, and we can be educated about the special effects, about the actors and their lineages and their histories. We need more shows like that. Yes, we get Mystery Science Theater, and I love those guys too because they make me chuckle. But I love watching a movie where I learn things about it as I'm watching it. And when a director breaks in and says, hey, I did this because of that. Or when Svengoolie, you know, before the movie comes back from commercial, he's like, did you know that George Peckinpah, blah, 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 blah. Not George, Sam Peckinpah. You know what I mean. But what I'm saying is, I wish we had more Svengoolie type stuff because this film, I enjoyed it. And I would have enjoyed it without Svengoolie. But with his trivia, his knowledge, the way that he educates you about the film that you're watching, I just wish that we could get more of that with some of these old films. I wished he had a streaming channel or something where we could go back and watch his old episodes. The Mummy's Hand is fun, guys. You can check it out nowhere because it was only on Svengoolie. I couldn't find it streaming anywhere. So, yeah, if you can find The Mummy's Hand, it's worth your time. If you can't, keep an eye out for it because, again, it's worth your time. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys, and talking about movies for just a little while with me, especially this one. Hit that like and subscribe button on the way out. Let me know in the comments section, you know, what you thought about the movie if you've seen it. And as always, my friends, I am going to keep watching them. Nope, you're going to do that. I'm going to keep making them as long as you keep watching them. Peace out. God bless you, and I will see you soon.